Okay, so today we're going deep on a story that's been told and retold for centuries. Uh, David and Goliath.
Yeah, a classic.
Yeah, definitely a classic. But we're going to try to go a little deeper than the, Sunday school version of the story.
Right, because there's so much more to it than just a simple underdog story.
Exactly. And it's a story that still resonates with people today.
Yeah,
Like there's a reason why we keep coming back to this story.
absolutely. I mean, who doesn't love a good underdog story?
Right. But there's like I said, there's more to it than that. So for people who maybe haven't heard this story in a while or, need a refresher, um, let's just kind of set the stage a little bit.
Yeah,
So we've got David, who is this, young shepherd, and he's going up against Goliath, this like giant, this champion of the Philistines.
right, like a literal giant.
Yeah, a literal giant. I mean, that's kind of the central image of the story is this massive difference in size and strength.
And and you have to think about the context of this too. This is ancient warfare, right? So size and strength really mattered back then.
Yeah. It wasn't all about tactics and, strategy like it might be today. It was like,
Yeah.
who's got the bigger army, who's got the stronger guys.
Exactly. And that's what makes David's victory so remarkable is that he overcomes this like seemingly insurmountable obstacle.
Right. And so let's talk about the motivations a little bit. Like what's driving these two characters? Like what's pushing them to this face off?
Well, for Goliath, it's all about intimidation. Right? I
Right.
mean, he's this symbol of the Philistine army. He's their champion. He's their best warrior. And he wants to crush the Israelite spirits before the battle even begins.
Like psychological warfare, right?
Exactly, psychological warfare.
Yeah.
He's trying to make them so scared that they just give up without a fight.
And I mean, you can imagine how terrifying that would be. Like you're a soldier in the Israelite army and you see this like, 9 foot tall giant like marching towards you.
Hmm.
I mean, how could you not be terrified?
Yeah, I mean, I'd be running the other way.
Right. Exactly. So Goliath is all about, brute force and intimidation.
Right.
But what about David? Like what's motivating him?
Well, David is fueled by a sense of duty to his people and his faith in God.
Right. I mean, he's not a soldier, he's a shepherd.
Yeah, he's just a kid, really.
Yeah, he's just a kid and yet he feels this calling to step up and defend his people.
And he's not afraid of Goliath. He's not intimidated by him.
Right. I mean, he's got this incredible faith that God will protect him.
And that faith gives him the courage to face Goliath.
But then okay, so he's got he's got this faith, but then he chooses a sling as a weapon.
Right.
I mean like a slingshot.
Right, like what's up with that?
Yeah, that seems a little reckless, right?
It might seem that way at first, but you got to think about David's background. He's a shepherd.
Okay.
And shepherds back then, they had to protect their flocks from predators,
Yeah.
lions and bears and wolves.
Oh, wow.
So they had to be really skilled with a sling in order to survive.
So it wasn't just some like random lucky shot. Like he was actually like a really good slingshot guy.
Exactly. He was an expert with the sling. And you might be surprised to learn that the sling was actually a pretty powerful weapon in ancient warfare.
Really?
Yeah, it could hurl stones with deadly force. It could even bring down heavily armored opponents.
Huh. I had no idea.
Yeah, so David wasn't being reckless. He was actually using his unique skills to his advantage.
So he's using his experience as a shepherd to fight this giant.
Yeah, he's not trying to fight Goliath on Goliath's terms. He's using his own strength.
So it's about strategy.
It's definitely about strategy.
So it's not just this blind faith, it's courage and strategy.
Exactly. It's a combination of both.
Okay, so let's talk about the faith aspect a little bit more because I think that's a really important part of the story. Like David's faith in God is what gives him the courage to face Goliath.
Right. And it's also what allows him to see Goliath's weakness.
Okay.
Like Goliath is so focused on his own strength and his own power that he underestimates David.
And David sees that
He sees that Goliath is vulnerable.
and he exploits that vulnerability.
Exactly.
And I think there's a lesson there for us today too. Like sometimes we get so caught up in our own, strengths and our own abilities that we forget to look for the weaknesses in our opponents.
Right. We forget that everyone has a weakness.
And if we can identify those weaknesses, we can overcome even the most daunting challenges.
It's like that saying, the bigger they are, the harder they fall.
Exactly.
Goliath was so big and so powerful that he became overconfident.
And that overconfidence was his downfall.
Right.
So we've talked about the courage, the faith, the strategy, but I think there's another important element to this story, and that's the impact that David's victory had on the Israelite army.
Right. Like it wasn't just about David defeating Goliath. It was about what that victory represented.
Exactly. Like imagine you're a soldier in the Israelite army and you've been cowering in fear of this giant for days. And then this young shepherd boy comes along and takes him down with a single stone.
Mm.
I mean, that must have been incredibly inspiring.
It would have been like a huge morale boost.
Yeah, it would have shown them that even the most impossible odds can be overcome.
And that courage can be contagious.
Right, like David's courage inspired the entire army to fight back.
Exactly.
So the story of David and Goliath is about more than just an individual victory. It's about the power of courage to inspire others.
It's about believing in yourself even when no one else does.
And it's about using your unique skills and talents to overcome challenges in unexpected ways.
So it really makes you think, right? Like, what are the Goliaths in our own lives?
Yeah, what are those challenges, those obstacles that seem insurmountable?
And are we letting fear dictate our actions, or are we willing to step forward with courage, faith, and a little bit of cleverness?
And maybe most importantly, are we overlooking our own slingshots?
Yeah. Like, what are those unique skills and perspectives that we have that might help us overcome these challenges in unexpected ways?
That's a great question to think about, I think, and maybe a good place to leave our listeners today.
Yeah, I think so too.
So thanks for joining us for this deep dive into the story of David and Goliath.
It's been a pleasure.
And we'll see you next time.
See you later. Bye.